The production of this video was made possible by donors to the Orchestration Online Patreon initiative. Please consider adding your support to the creation of free educational internet resources by visiting our Patreon page linked below.
Hey there, this is your orchestration tutor Thomas Goss, with the first of two orchestration lessons covering the Adagietto from Mahler's Fifth Symphony.
Before we dive into the scoring of the piece, it's instructive to examine the title of this extraordinary movement, and how it informs our understanding of the music and its role in Mahler's life and art. The meaning in Italian is a little slow, but this is seemingly contradicted by Mahler's opposite tempo marking on the score of Sehr langsam, very slow in German. Conductors have taken Mahler at his word, at least in German, and have turned out performances that are as long as 14 minutes in length, in which the music deliciously crawls along. The result of these super slow interpretations is that the music has come to be associated with commemoration and eulogy, such as in Bernstein's performance of the Adagietto at Robert F. Kennedy's funeral mass. This was even further enhanced by a typically crawling, haunted version that soaks through the fabric of Visconti's film Death in Venice, in which an entire city is slowly dying of cholera. I've linked a great New York Times article by Gilbert Kaplan in the description below, in which he examines the Adagietto's tempo in detail. I'll simply add my own observation here that during Mahler's era, conductors had a tendency to exaggerate tempos. Mahler may have been afraid that the title Adagietto might have represented tacit permission to conductors to go in the other direction and perform the work too fast. He himself conducted the movement in 7.5 minutes at its premiere, and mentioned on the first edition score that it should be around 9 minutes long. Though he himself was fairly strict about other conductors interpreting his music, there's no doubt that the great strength of this piece is plasticity. In other words, the huge freedom of expression that a conductor can bring to bear, shaping the arc of the phrases, pulling and pushing on the tempo changes, and adjusting nuances with extreme delicacy. The Adagietto was a wordless marriage proposal to the love of Mahler's life, Alma Schindler, who herself was a developing composer. Here's proof that score reading plays its own role in history. After looking through the manuscript, she accepted wholeheartedly. In this series of orchestration lessons, we've dealt with towering, massively textured scores. So it may seem like a paradox that our first lesson with Mahler, who is the king of the massive score, should focus on one of his most modestly scored works. But here's an opportunity to really examine a great example of string section scoring in detail, which ties nicely into the upcoming Term 1 of the massive open online orchestration course. So let's get to it. First, let's examine the disposition of the score. The layout, at least for Mahler, is as stripped down as he gets. A simple string section with harp. Even so, he sometimes splits the viola and cello staves in different systems for greater clarity of reading and independence of roles and divisi. Another thing worth noting is how simply Mahler sets the mood for the string players, without a huge amount of over-explaining in the first few bars. All he needs to tell the first violins is to play expressively and soulfully at the beginning. There's a notational irregularity to the way certain rhythms are scored in the melody, with a dotted quarter note on the second beat, instead of the more standard quarter tied to eighth rule. Mahler breaks the rule here and risks confusion because he wants the second note to hang there in the middle of the bar, to be finally relieved by the conductor giving the preparation for the 3 eighth notes leading into the downbeat of the next bar. I wouldn't recommend imitating this eccentric marking in any way, but it just shows that rhythmic notation rules can be broken when there's a greater purpose involved. There are any number of subtle, ingenious touches to the score, from the very first bar. The violas play an A minor third under the downward flowing harp. Cello comes in to thicken the line in the second bar, and when it steps down to G, the two viola lines simply alternate pitches to achieve the tiniest amount of emphasis. Now there's a trick I can recommend using in your own scoring when appropriate. The main thing I want orchestration students to focus on in their first serious look at this work is how Mahler uses two opposing principles in string scoring: homogeneity and individuality of tone. Homogeneity is easy. The string section and its instruments were developed so that they might easily produce a balanced tone across all registers when needed. What's more, the players tend to blend their tone wherever possible in order to achieve the most unified effect. So in order to achieve individuality of line, composers must use a few different tricks, as Mahler does here. One is simply to mark the dynamic level higher and emphasize certain notes with articulation marks like accents or tenuto. But that's a brute force approach, however useful. Sometimes a part can simply stand out because its function is more individual than that of its neighbors. A flowing line in the midst of very slowly changing harmony is the most obvious. However, the deepest, most subtle, and yet most effective way to individualize a musical line is to cast it in the register in which it will naturally sing with little effort, while keeping the lines around it in more relaxed registers. This can actually get fairly complex, with specific registers chosen for their sound more than for any consideration of harmonic voicing. Or, a voicing can change meaning when one of its middle notes has a different quality, whether that is brighter or silkier. Of course, individuality of line is easy when the line goes higher than the rest of the music, as does the cello from bar 10. But it's not so easy when that line is in the middle or lower. There's a lovely moment at bar 20 in which the cellos get a bit more melody. Mahler scores an accompanying F major 6/3 chord, with second violins and violas on their lowest strings, and double basses playing an open A-tenth. The written middle C has a different enough character to sit behind the cellos as they flirt with the same pitch, but similar enough to blend seamlessly as the cellos take the pitch over as a pedal tone. I love the viola and cello's subtle exchange of Cs from bar 24 to bar 25. It won't be seamless, but it will have just enough edge to feel a hint of color change and pulse. Think simply of the change of strings involved here, with the viola going from first position on the G string to an open, resonant low C string. The cello, meanwhile, will go from its gentler G string up to a more insistent note on the D string, at least if the player is to respect the slur and not cross two strings. If the violist also respects the slur coming back up in the next bar, that's a very high position on its D string. As this passage is a setup for a big emotional push, that means just before, the two middle voices will be fairly highly placed in terms of finger positions, and the shortness of strings will give an added tension to the music. Of course, the players will find their own solutions, and may not go along with everything suggested here. But it's interesting all the same to see the difference in such scoring that you see here from a master conductor-composer, compared to other composers of genius who had less practical day-to-day contact with players.
As you can see, even without all the massive brass and winds, Mahler can still deliver rich, deeply textured scoring. We'll cover this in even more detail next month, before the orchestration lessons take a break for the massive open online orchestration course. See you soon.